So, gentlemen, I want to get into a particular tweet that came the way of Nico. Now, let me just pull it up over here. I had it queued and I wound up changing it to somewhere else. Just give me a second. Let me just pull it up over here. So, Nico posted this on August 14th, and it's about GSC Game World. They are the makers of Stalker 2. Now, this is going back a couple of years, right? This was originally launched as an Xbox and PC, or well, let's just say, for instance, a console exclusive for Xbox. Obviously, things went really awry with the war in Ukraine. They had team members that they lost in the defense of their country in the line of duty. And the entire team, along with all of their families, had to be moved out of the country, and they are currently living in Prague, right? I said this before. I've said it again. I cannot believe this game is still coming out. I honestly cannot believe the true grit that this team has with all of the trials that they've been through, personally, emotionally, financially. It's been a lot, which is why Mrs. Boom and I are giving away 15 copies of that game, and we're buying it at full boat because we want to kind of give, we want to support the devs. We're actually doing it, right? But he put this out there, and he said the developers of Stalker 2 confirmed in 2021. Now, this is going back a while, that there are no plans for a PS5 version, and that the reason why that is because Xbox Game Pass influenced that decision. And he has some quotes here from the team. It says, GSC Game World has announced that it has no plans for a PS5 release on Stalker 2. The studio is focusing on the Xbox Series X and S versions of the game as well as the PC one. The developers say that Xbox Game Pass was a major factor that influenced this decision. This came the way of a recent interview. Developers from GSC Game World announced that a PS5 version of Stalker 2 is not currently being planned or at this time even being worked on. Now, I'm going to go first to Fuzzy here. Fuzzy, look, the team themselves announced the delay, right? Mm-hmm. They did that a couple of weeks ago, and everyone, and I mean just about everybody, I don't think I saw one negative tweet like, oh my God, delayed again. People are like, yeah, it's fine. It's take all the time you want. And what they've been doing since the announcement of the delay is putting out like these dev docs, right? They just had a deep dive, which was about 30 minutes. The game looks stunning. Like, it is Unreal Engine 5 at its finest. At every day that they tweet something, we get some more information. One of the more finite points of conversation was that some of the weapons that are considered unique and special, you're only going to find if you go off the beaten path. And for gamers like Umbra and myself and even you, we never straight line it or gold road it, as you will. We like, oh, there's something shiny over there. Let's go, right? And then from there, it's 18 other places besides the main mission. So I'll put 100 hours into this game. There's no questions about it. And I like that. But this is where we kind of get into the acquisition seasons because, look, the FTC situation is going to be over by the end of the year. They don't have a case. Microsoft continues to put games on other platforms. There's no reason to try and gum this up other than Lena Khan just being very stubborn. She lost. The whole world approved this deal but her. She's not going to win. She's just not. And I don't know. I know that Hargeet said that the next big one is probably something like a Take-Two. I don't think he's wrong there. I really think that Take-Two is the play, in my opinion, in 2025. I think that first quarter of 25, you get that announcement that they're buying Take-Two. Because why not own Grand Theft Auto? It's going to be everywhere. They're going to make trillions of dollars on that. It's just ridiculous how much money they're going to make. But why not own that IP? And look, their buying price right now, it's less than half of what they spent on ABK. Yeah, like their market cap, I think, is 30. And I'm not saying it like it's insignificant. It's less than 35 billion. they have that in their couch, man. They could pull that right out right now and do it fuzzy.
Yeah.
But this is one of those studios, and an IP for that matter, that I think almost screams acquisition. What do you think about that?
I think it would be kind of a good idea, just for the fact that this is something that is normally looked upon as being PC only. There was a recent release on console, but with it being a primarily PC centric type title, I think this would it could eventually evolve into, if they want, something that could be more of a head to head multiplayer compete with Escape from Tarkov. Like I understand that still a niche title, but there's a lot of AAA studios that are trying their hand at these extraction shooters, and this being kind of an extraction shooter, but single player wise, it's taken what 10-15 years for the guy that made Escape from Tarkov to do the single player, although people made mods and he kind of tried to have those people banned. But if they were to acquire GSC, I think that would give them an insight to this more post-apocalyptical, post-Chernobyl, tragedy type of deal. That is a bit of a different spin. Yes, there is the other team out there that split off from them that made Metro.
Yes, 3 of them, real good ones too.
Yeah, but I think these guys would be able to have enough of a draw for the PC crowd, because they do need to work on their PC side of things to be more competitive with Steam to some regard to getting people to their store. Do apologize for the groundskeepers now driving past the house.
Oh, we don't hear them. We don't hear them. It's fine. The software has that we use blocks it out.
No, but when it comes to GSC, they've done an excellent job in continuing to add content, and even their community, the actual stalkers out there that have created mods for the game, feed into the lore of the game. So there's enough of a IP there that you can build upon, possibly do spin-offs, whether it's a games as a service extraction shooter, or just focus more so on additional single player story content. I think this is a worthwhile title. There's a good bit of history behind it because of recent events, plus just the history of events with Chernobyl in itself, and them having like their own take on what would happen after the fact kind of thing with the anomalies and such. So I would say it's a worthwhile venture for Xbox. It wouldn't cost them a heck of a lot in comparison to other studios out there. Having studios in that region seems to be the next go-to region, where there's a lot of talent popping up in that area. So it's good to have a studio based there, one, for recruitment purposes, and two, just in general, to have a different perspective on a first-person shooter, or even them possibly doing a third-person shooter type of game. This would be a good area or good region to look at, and the studio being established as it is, I would say is worthwhile, looking at, putting a ring on that finger kind of thing, especially considering how they've helped them through this transition as far as relocation, some of the additional, technical help on the back end of things and things like that. I would say those extra steps that they've taken, it would be worthwhile to kind of put a lock on it, as opposed to letting that spread out, where, okay, they're working now with Sony, let's say 5 years from now, and it's like, oh, well, some of the stuff that you kind of help them with now, they can use to, help build a better relationship with Sony or Nintendo or wherever. So I think it's worthwhile for them to either partner if they don't want to do a full buyout, or consider making an offer as far as acquisition, and keeping them in their new region location, and have them recruit all of that raw talent that's in that region for a lot of these, extraction shooter type of games.
I mean, it makes sense. And you made mention of it, and I had forgotten about that. Where whether you folks know it or not, Microsoft actually helped them financially with the transition over to Prague. People don't know that, and that to me says there's a little bit more there. Hargeet, I want to bring you in on this. Obviously, thanks so much for popping in. We super appreciate it. Acquisition season is something you believe is going to be happening sooner than a lot of people want to admit. The Activision deal is done. Yes, the FTC is, gumming up the cogs, if you will, but ultimately they're going to lose. They really are. They all Microsoft has done is prove them wrong at every point. Where more
Yep.
games. I mean, if you look at the Sony who they were defending in the court trial, Sony skipped Xbox even with Horizon Lego, right? So they're not putting their games there.
Yep.
Microsoft's putting their games everywhere, and obviously you could literally play an Xbox Microsoft game pretty much anywhere, maybe even on your fridge if you have the capability, right? It's fine. But this is one of those companies, this is one of those developers that I think are going to be joining. I think that what you're going to see before the next announcement of a potential publisher like a 2K is to sew up a lot of the smaller companies, a lot of the smaller studios, the Eidos Montreals, the Crystal Dynamics, the IO Interactives, Asobo for that matter. And a lot of these studios, well, they're either owned by someone else or they want to remain independent. The problem here is 2024 going into 2025 is not going to be any better. We are in a recession. Nobody wants to admit it. It's happening. It's here. These smaller developers are probably having to rob Peter to pay Paul, keep the lights on. That's a fact. I'm sorry, it just is. Everything is ridiculously expensive. Let's talk Stalker 2. It's currently an Xbox console exclusive. Yes, it's going to be on PC. It's probably going to be a huge game this year. Unreal Engine 5 is running smooth. It looks freaking fantastic. Let's talk about the game, but more importantly, whether or not they join Xbox Game Studios potentially next year.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the ones where I was hoping it would happen at Gamescom. I think it would be a killer announcement.
Great
to say,
thought.
Right? Hey, we're coming to Europe. We're going to help out. We've helped out this studio in Europe. And we're going to acquire this studio to help them out, continue to help them out. It would be a great European story, right? And this is an area Xbox needs to expand. They have absolutely no market in Europe, so they need to make a big splash. This is a way to do it, and it endears you to like, hey, we're helping a struggling country. Forget about company, but country that's in the middle of it right now. In Europe, and like, so this would be a great. This is just my thinking, right? I don't know if they can actually do it or not, if they have done it or not, but GSC can't be expensive. I think they basically have paid at this point to own the freaking IP because they've paid them a lot to be able to sustain them. So I just think it would be an awesome feel good story if they just said, as part of Stalker 2's release, we have now acquired GSC GameWorks, whatever, announce it at Gamescom. Try to get that mind share. It would be a big announcement, right? It'd be a big announcement at Gamescom. So I think it'd be kind of a cool thing for them to do. Try to create buzz about the Xbox brand in Europe with positive light, right? So it would be an awesome thing if they pull it off. If they do it afterwards, fine. If they do it at all, I don't know. That's up to them. But it can't cost much. GSC can't be that expensive. It's probably going to be well under the regulatory level, so it doesn't matter. They can just pick it up, right? So there won't be any scrutiny for it. I agree with the other ones too, like Asobo. IO is pretty expensive. Unfortunately, IO is, I think it's a $500 million. So that one's going to be kind of that's going to be it's going to require regulatory approval. I don't think that one's one to go after. Some of the smaller ones, no
what
problem.
About Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal?
It just depends on where Embracer is in that journey, right? Because they've kind of combined them up into this the Friends of Middle Earth or something like that, whatever they call it, Middle Earth and Friends, which includes the Lord of the Rings IP. So and having that is pretty cool, but it isn't something that's going to be financially beneficial, right? It's going to be more IP based. I don't know that you're going to get a lot out of it from a return perspective outside of games for Game Pass, which is great, right? That catalog just going into Game Pass would be good. The ability for Crystal and Eidos to make games in that vein, that'd be awesome. However, as you kind of mentioned, I think the things they want to do, and you kind of get the hints from them, is they want to be the big IP owners, right? So they want to be the Disney of IP for gaming.
Yes. Yep.
And if that is the world they want to be in, you got to look at those, the top games that continuously keep generating revenue. Fortnite is one of them.
Yep.
But if you look at Fortnite, you're saying, okay, I'm going to buy Epic, which is a very expensive buy. However, it's part owned by Sony, part owned by Tencent, part owned, like there's a lot there, right? I think Take-Two is the obvious answer. I think it gives you GTA, it gives you NBA, it gives you WWE, right? It gives you these franchises people just want to buy, right? And like GTA is going to make uber money. It's going to make uber money, and they got Zynga right on top of that, right? Which was the other mobile target they had. It was Zynga, but then like, can we get King? Can we somehow finagle getting King? And they managed to pull that off, right? So, but Zynga was the other target. Take-Two happens to go buy them. I think Take-Two is a good option. Now it's at the 25, 26 billion range right now, market cap. Something like 40 would be required to buy it. And again, from a Microsoft perspective, I put more into mobile. I get one of those games that just keeps printing money, year after year, month after month. GTA is still making money, right? So that's what they're looking for, is just continuous bottom line increase, right? The fact that it's everywhere, in fact, they'll probably put it even more places. Wherever they can put that game to get more money, that's what they would do, right? So, because that's what they did with Minecraft. That's what you're going to expect here. They're going to do the same with Call of Duty, by the way. They're going to put it wherever the hell it'll run. They will put it there, right? Because they just want to get more customers, get more money, right? That's the point for those IPs. And so that's what they were going to look to do. At least in my opinion, that's what you do. The other big company is EA, who happens to make those sports games. I don't know if they can get both. I think they're going to have to pick one. And to me, you get Take-Two because you get GTA plus NBA, right? You get big two IPs there. The NBA isn't owned by them, but they continue to make NBA 2K, and hopefully they can continue that franchise with Take-Two, right? So this is the thing I would see them going after first, but we'll see. Maybe they have other needs. They also have other corporate needs, right? So Microsoft may say, we don't want to entangle ourselves here with a gaming acquisition. We want to entangle ourselves with an AI acquisition. We want to entangle ourselves with something else in the productivity space, right? Because remember, it's Microsoft. It's not just Xbox. Xbox is a big part now, a big revenue generator for Microsoft, right?
Indeed.
But that doesn't mean it's the only one, right? They do have other corporate needs, and they may have other ideas that they have to get into. We just have to keep that in mind. This is when you look at Sony, for instance, right? Why did they go after Paramount? Because that was what their IP need was. They want to go into more IPs from the movie realm, and they're like, hey, we want to go get Paramount, not go get something like, they could get $26 billion to go buy Take-Two. They could go buy whatever, right? So Warner, right? They could go get Warner, but there are regulatory headaches there. Fair enough, but they went after movies. That's what they wanted to do, because that's a corporate decision. So you just got to keep that in mind. It's not all about Xbox, right? Xbox is a division of Microsoft. So they might say, hey, we're going to have a challenge if we want to go buy XYZ productivity tool or AI capability, and let's go make that our next 2-year headache, right? So just keep that about. That might be the thing they do. But if they are going to go forward with something in the gaming world, I think Take-Two makes a lot of sense. The other thing to look at is they do have a deficiency in Japan, right? So they could potentially say, I'm going to go do something over there. But I think right now the focus should be like, pick one region, whether it's Asia or it's Europe, and go all in, right? And I think now it looks like it's Europe, because they're going to Gamescom all in, right? And I think that's what they need to do. Say, we're going to take on the challenge of increasing our market share, our mind share in Europe. So if you're going to do that, then forget about Sega, or Square like that. Just forget about that for now. Concentrate on the European theater, and picking up a GSC is cool. Picking up something else from Europe is cool. But having Take-Two, having Call of Duty, having those are going to be enough. You just have to kind of market it now, right? I think that's what they really need to kind of push to do. So I think Take-Two makes sense, and then having the push into Europe, gain that, and then in a couple of years you can start looking at Japan, right? Looking at China, looking at whatever's happening in the Asia theater, and start looking at potential acquisitions there. I still think another corporate need is Valve. I think that's a good idea for them to own Steam. But that is another discussion, and that's a Gabe thing, right? When does he want to kind of bow out?
He wants out of the business.
It might be like, I'm done. I don't care. Get the heck out of here. I don't know when that time comes for him. He's already made some hints that he would, if he were to do something, it would be with Microsoft. But there's other hints about that. But either way, I think that might be something they would pull the trigger on, and that would be a Windows play much more than just a Xbox play. But it is Xbox, obviously. But that would be a Windows play as well, right? So just keep that in the calculus there. But yeah, I really hope they do come out at Gamescom and say, as part of our release, we're also announcing the acquisition of GSC and bringing them into the fold, right? That would be an awesome announcement.